Hello, educators. This is Dr. Lee Zeitz, and I'd like to give you an overview of EdTech and Design and the assignments that you'll be going through this semester. Now, what I've done is I've created a document that provides a description of each of these. Let's take a look. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is if you go over to our website and you go to Content, you'll see that we have EdTech and Design Assignment Overview. And so we're going to click on that. And that'll open up, and this will give you access to the document that I'll be looking at. And then we'll take a look at all the stuff that's right down there. First of all, what we're going to do is each one of these is going to provide a short description of what the assignment is. And then I also have dates on here. Now, please remember that dates may change, and the schedule is really the reference that you want to follow. Things might change, and maybe they didn't get changed here. So make sure you follow that schedule. So as we go down, first thing is the Voicethread. And the Voicethread introduction is something that you go in, you do the introduction using Voicethread. It's a way in which we can get to know each other, and I can get to know you. The second thing is the Personal Learning Network. The Personal Learning Network is an opportunity for you to expand your professional network. And so what we're talking about is that when you go to the Personal Learning Network description page, it explains how all this works. But a brief overview is that you're going to begin by identifying what your personal learning network is by drawing it out on paper as a concept map. Then what you're going to do is, using some of the suggestions on the sheet there, you're going to try to expand your professional connections. You'll contact people, you'll find blogs and podcasts and things like that that are going to expand your knowledge base and your access base. And what we want you to do is each time you do something like this, maybe you connect with somebody, we want you to take a screenshot of it, and then we want you to create a description that tells it, do a narrative that talks about it. You'll put all this together in a Google Slides, and at the very end, you'll create an updated PLN web, and be able to talk about how where it was when you started, and then what happens when how it grew and how you benefited from that. So that's the Personal Learning Network. The thematic unit is something that is a group project, and what you will do is you will identify you've been divided into groups, and you will identify a grade level you want to work at. You want to identify what needs to be taught at that level. You want to identify a topic, and then there's a template that you complete. Now, halfway through this, you're going to be meeting with your professor, and your professor is going to give you feedback on the work that you and your group have done. And then what you'll do is you'll finish it up and submit it, and that'll be the end of your thematic unit. But that theme, maybe it's rainforest, is something you'll be using throughout the whole semester. You'll be using those objectives, you'll be using all that sort of thing. It gives you kind of a context for the whole class. Video project. This is going to be an individual project, and you have the opportunity of making a video. Now, you've all made videos with your phones, but we're going to make it a little bit more professional in the sense that we're going to ask you to go through, identify what it is you want to teach, and you get to do it from one of two perspectives. One perspective is the perspective of a teacher, where you're creating a video that you're going to be using for instructing students about information that they would then use to help fulfill their objectives. The other side would be, if a student was creating this, to try to prove to the teacher that the student had mastered the objectives and skills that were required. And so what you'll do is you will identify what it is you want to teach, or the objectives you want to address. You'll come up with a plan for how you're going to do it using the theme that you created with your group. And then you will write a script, and you'll bring the script in, and you'll be working, or we'll connect with other people on that to give some feedback. One of your classmates will give you feedback on that. And then you'll do the storyboard, and same thing there. And if you don't, storyboard's kind of a visual script, trying to see what things would look like. And then at the very end, you're going to be creating your video. It doesn't have to be any longer than, it's limit of 3 minutes. So it's short, sweet, and to the point. Down there, they're talking about the teacher website. You may have already made a website in your life. This is going to be using Google Sites. And so you have the opportunity to use Google Sites to create a website that a teacher would use to help inform parents and students. Remember when you used Google Classroom in your classes? You know, your teacher was using it. Now it's your turn to use Google Classroom to create your very own classroom. And you'll be looking at including announcements and assignments and quizzes and all these sorts of things. You know, one example of each. And so you'll have that opportunity to put that together, so you'll be able to share with that or do that when you're in your classes. So that's looking pretty good. And then finally, you have an option at the very end. We have two options. One option is the interactive learning tool. The interactive learning tool is a culmination of all the work you've done. In other words, you take a look at all the things you've learned in other apps, and then you identify, once again, what are the objectives you want to address, and how do you integrate multiple types of technology to create a learning environment for your students to use. You know, you could use apps on your phone, you could use apps on the computer, you can have them go through, I mean, there's a whole variety of things you can do. This is a great way to take all those things that you've learned and bring them together. But you also have an option of pursuing the Google Certified Educator Level 1. Now this is something that you're doing throughout the semester. We are not grading you or anything, and we expect that if you're interested in doing that, that you're going to be doing the tutorials, the Google tutorials throughout the semester, so that when it's time for you to take that test, that you will have had that kind of background. And many of the things that we're doing in class deal with the Google tools, which would reinforce what you need to do. Now, what will happen is that when you take that Google test, that exam, you'll have 3 hours to take this exam. And it will be one where they give you challenges. You know, we want you to create this Google Classroom. We want you to do this. We want you to do that. And at the end of those 3 hours, and it may just take you 2 hours, but at the end of those 3 hours, then your test will be submitted, and within a day or two, you'll receive a grade. And you won't be told as to what the score is. You'll simply be told either you passed or you failed. Now, here's the deal, and that is that if you take the test and you fail, then you'll be able to take it again later on. So what I really want to point out, we'll have other information that's going to tell you much more about the Google Certified Educator. I want to point out that you're going to have the option of either doing the interactive learning tool or the Google Certified Educator. So there you have it. If we take a look, we have the Voicethread introduction, the personal learning network, the thematic unit, which is a group project, a video project, the teacher website, the Google Classroom, and then your choice of the interactive learning tool or Google Certified Educator. Well, there you have it. Those are the things that we're going to be doing this semester. I hope it's useful because that gives you kind of an overview of what to expect. And please remember, if you have any questions, contact me or your professor. Bye.